بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Dear students of Communication and Public Relations Management course, today inshallah we will start with a new chapter which is titled by Communication. So part 2 of this course is called Preparation or Process. The main objectives of this chapter is to discuss the goals and theories of modern communication as they relate to the practice of public relations, also to explore the importance and the proper use of words and semantics to deliver ideas or messages and persuade others toward a specific opinion or one's point of view. Also to discuss the various elements that affect communication, including the media, the bias of receivers, and the individuals or entities delivering a message. And finally, to examine the necessity of feedback in evaluating communication and formulating continued communication. So here, once we talk about communication, we talked about the process of communication. So the core things or the core benefit of public relation job is to communicate or to deliver a message. So again, the core benefit of public relation job is the communication process itself. But before communication take place, we have to prepare our message, we have to prepare our words which will transmit it to our publics or our audience. So we can say that communication, it is the action which is taken by public relation, but we have to prepare what to communicate. Also we have to choose the appropriate type of message in order to be delivered for our audience. Also we have to determine our audience to whom we are going to deliver our message. And also we have to ask ourselves some questions such as, did we understand our publics, their behaviors, their attitudes, okay, in order to transmit the appropriate message for them. So again, before we transmit our message to the public or to the audience, we have to prepare our message, and it should have a specific goal or objective to be achieved, whether the objective to build an image or to change incorrect opinion about our organization, or to keep and maintain a good image about our organization. Okay, so if we ask what is a communication process, in a simple word, it is any action or it is a process between different parties, sender and receiver, in order to get information or to transmit an information or to persuade others or to remind others about anything. Okay, or it is a process of exchanging information between sender and receiver. This is the simple definitions of communication process. Learning perspectives. In the early of 21st century, social media dominates the communication practice. So as we said before in the previous lecture or in the previous chapter, that in the early of 21st century, social media and the mass media such as Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter dominates the communication practice in general. So we can say that we live in a wired world. So without the wired, without the wireless, we cannot communicate and connect or connected with others, especially in different or in other geographic areas. فبالتالي وجود الوايرد وورد أو الوايرلس قربت الناس من بعضهم البعض، فبالتالي أصبح من السهل الوصول لهم وتوصيل الرسائل التي تحتاجها المنظمات لهدول الأشخاص. Words and images flash to millions around the globe in real time. So any event happened around the world, we can see it and we can get the needed information about it. Why? Because we live in a wired world. The power of communication has never been greater. Public relations practitioners are professional communicators. Those public relation practitioners, they know how to attract and to convince, or how to build an image or opinion in public's minds. So public relations practitioners are professional communicators. They must be the best in organization at. Public relations practitioners must be the best in organization at writing. It means they should have a writing skills, writing good messages. They should be able to speak or having speaking skills, listening, whether for internal employees اللي هم internal audience for their issues, and also listen to the external publics for their problems. And also they must be the best in organization at promoting and protecting their images or the organization images. And finally, counseling. Counseling, it means to public relation practitioners should be able to assist their top managers or their executives in making or taking any decisions. Being understood and understanding others is the crucial to this process. So the communication process needed in order to build a mutual understanding between the organization and publics by sending and receiving information or messages. What are the main goals of communication? When communication is planned as it should be in public relations, every communication must have a goal or an objective or a purpose. And if not, why to communicate in the first place? So we have to understand what is the main goal or what is our objective of our communication. And if we don't have an objective of this communication or of this message, so why to communicate or why to advertise or why to build a promotional campaign for our organization? So we have to have a specific objective or a goal for our communication process. All planned communication must have goals. Here are few. The first one is to inform our publics about something or let them know about an issue, okay, to send them or transmit them specific information about a specific issue, okay. The second one is to persuade. Why we inform our audience about specific information about a specific issue in order to persuade them. So the second goal of communication is to persuade our audience or our publics about something. Also another goal of communication is to motivate, whether to motivate our internal audience or external audience, and also to build a mutual understanding between our organization and other publics. In all efforts, an integrated, strategically planned process approach is of key importance. So in order to evaluate your process or your communication process, you should have a standard or an objectives or strategic plans to ensure that everything is achieved. To talk about the goals in more details, the first goal of communication is to inform or educate a particular public For example, before holidays, the Association of America will release information providing advice on safe driving habits for longer trips. So the example which is given here, it is talking about summer holidays, when people or teenage they take their cars to sea or to villages, so they have or we have to inform them and give them some instructions about the safe driving habits for their trips. Okay, and we can use many and a lot of tools in order to inform publics, such as social media tools, written releases, TVs, interviews, and many other tools in order to inform our audience about specific information or specific message. The second goal of communication is to persuade, to take certain actions. For example, a mutual fund annual report that talks about the fund long history of financial strength and security may provide a persuasive appeal to potential investors. So you can't persuade anyone about something until they have an information about this issue. فبالتالي يفترض تكون الخطوة الأولى قبل عملية الإقناع يفترض يكون في عنده المعلومات الكافية، بعد هيك تيجي عملية اللي هو الإقناع. And some tools، وواحدة من التولز اللي ممكن نستخدمها في persuasion مثل ما ذكر في هذا المثال اللي هو financial reports لهذه organizations. ممكن نستخدم expertise to convince other about something، زي اللي هو استخدام مثلا دكاترة معينين للحديث عن أعراض لبعض الأدوية أو إلى آخره. Okay, so for this example, in order to convince our investors or the potential investors to invest in our organization, we use financial reports or the annual reports, which represent, for example, the profitability ratio of the organization, in order to encourage the investors to invest in our organization. The third goal of communication is to motivate our employees to increase their productivity, to treat fairly and kindly with our customers as it should be, and also to exert more efforts and also to achieve their goals, which is help to achieve organizational goals as a whole. So to motivate, it means a motivation of employees to pull for the team is a regular organizational communication goal. So public relation practitioners is responsible to create a close relationship or a social relationship between employees, give them information, advice, top managers to do anything to motivate those employees. So public relation practitioners is not responsible to give rewards or any financial promotion for employees in order to motivate them, but they are responsible to create a close relationship and social relationship among the employees, or to advise the top managers and executives within the organization to do anything in order to motivate those employees. The final goals of communication: to build mutual understanding. Often communicators have as their goals the mere attainment of understanding of group in opposition. So the mutual understanding built with others who don't understand us, who don't understand our organization, who don't understand our opinion. فبالتالي دائما بكون هنا التعامل مع اللي هو opposition people in order to persuade them or to change their behavior, to change their opinion for specific issue. Note, the point is whether written release, annual report, speech, or meeting, all are valid public relations communication vehicles. So here we have different tools or different ways we can use it in order to communicate others, whether a written release, annual reports, speech, or meetings, interviews, okay, which is designed to achieve communication goals with the key publics, whether to inform, to persuade, to build mutual understanding, or to motivate them. Now we wanted to talk about the theories which is related to communication, because we wanted to send an effective message for our audience or for our publics. So we wanted to know whether to focus on a specific party of communication process, on the receiver, on the tool which is used, and we have different theories talk about communication process in general. Many theories exist from the traditional to contemporary about the most effective ways for a source to send the message through medium in order to elicit a positive response, and here we have a few of them. So again, there are many theories exist from the traditional and contemporary processes about the most effective ways or methods for a source to send a message through channel or medium, and the main objective is to elicit a positive response or to build a positive opinion about our organization or a specific issue. The first one is two-step flow theory. An organization beams its message to mass media, which delivers the message to mass audiences, readers, listeners, and viewers. This theory may have given the mass media too much credit. So in this theory, or the first theory, the organizations send the message through mass media, which is delivered to the mass audience. So again, this theory gives a great attention to the mass media, but here we wanted to ask a question, whether publics concerned or willing to deal with mass media or not. Of course, the answer here is no. So this is one of the main criticism of this theory. هيعتمد على وسيلة واحدة اللي هي الماس ميديا. Okay. فبالتالي هذه واحدة من الانتقادات التي وجهت لهذه النظرية. So people today are influenced by great many factors, of which mass media may be one. Okay, but it is not necessary, or it is not necessarily the dominated one. The second theory, it is the concentric cycle theory. Ideas originate with great thinkers and political leaders, then evolve gradually to the public in a circular fashion, and for this reason it is called a concentric cycle theory. So we don't, in this theory, we don't pay attention to the mass media, but we pay more attention to a centric person, a person who going to send a message, or the great thinkers. So again, building awareness, it means to inform other about an issue, about our organization, or whatever. The second step for this theory is developing a latent readiness. This is the stage at which people begin to form an opinion. At this stage, the people begin to form an opinion based on such factors such as knowledge, emotion, their memories, and relationships. Okay, so in the second step of this theory, the latent or developing a latent readiness, it means اللي هي الطاقة الكامنة. Okay, here the people or the audience or the publics begin to form their opinions based on the information which is got in the previous step, or based on a specific knowledge or the emotion, memories, and relationships. The third one is triggering events is something either natural or planned that makes you want to change your behavior. We can say that if we didn't see or face an event, we cannot feel it and we cannot believe it, or we cannot form an opinion about it. الحدث نفسه لما بنشوفه فبنكون عنه فكرة بنصدقه بشكل أكبر. فبالتالي الإيفنتس طبعا ممكن يكون planned events أو natural events. فبالتالي we have to create this event in order to persuade our audience. The further step is intermediate behavior. This is what Jackson called investigative period, when an individual is determining how best to apply a desired behavior. So once you form your opinion, and in this step you wanna to look for where is the best way or the best method to apply my opinion. The last one is the behavioral change. It is the final step, is the adoption of the new behavior. So in this step, the final step, you already have an action, so you can defend for a specific group, for a specific opinion, for a specific issue or an organization or whatever. Another traditional theory related to communication, SEMDR, communication process, and this letter is related to the main parts of the communication process. S source, E for encodes or encoding, M for a message, D for decoding, and the R for receiver. Or we can say that sender, encoding, message, decoding, and finally receiver. So we can define a source or the sender as a person who issues the message, or a person who originates the message to the receiver. But encoding stage, it means to translate and convey our message to the receiver, is which the source's original message is translated and conveyed to the receivers. في الانكودينج ستيج يفترض انه احنا بنحكي انه نقوم بعملية تشفير للفكرة اللي بدنا نوصلها، للمسج اللي احنا بدنا نوصلها، نترجمها لكلمات، لأرقام او الى اخره. هذه هي عملية الانكودينج. After that we have a decoding stage in which the receiver interprets the encoded message and takes an action. يفترض انه في المرحلة اللي بعدها تكون وصلت المسج للريسيفر ويكون قابل على انه يفسر اللي هو المسج اللي وصلت له بطريقة معينة. Then to take an action. And finally we have the receiver. He is the person who delivers a message. The last theory related to communication, spiral of silence. As we know that the majority of our public, they prefer to be silence. Always they prefer to be silence. Communications depend on the silence and non-participation of a huge majority, which will often choose to vote with the majority. So as public relation practitioners, you have to know how to deal with the majority of people. معظم الناس بتفضل انها تضلها يعني صامتة، او انها يعني بتختار زي ما اختاروا الأغلبية. مثال على ذلك في عملية الانتخاب، كثير من الناس يعني تلتزم مثلا عدم التصويت لشخص معين، أو أنها تقوم بالانتخاب حسب ما انتخب المعظم أو العامة. And this theory, the spiral of silence, it is developed by Elizabeth Newman. And now we wanted to talk about the contemporary theories of communication. The contemporary theory is focusing on publics or audience, what exactly our publics needs, what is their wants. So it is not focusing on a mass media or the channel or the medium which is used to communicate our message to the public or the audience, as we said before in the traditional theories of communication. So according to this theory, it suggests that an effective communication is supposed to come from public or from the audience. The ways used, the tools, the content of the message is coming from the belief or the tradition of our public or our audience. So if you don't able to understand your public, you will not communicate well. So the complexity of communications in contemporary society has led to more audience-centered. It means it is focusing on the audience or the publics rather than the medium or the mass media or the channel which is used to transfer our information to the public. And one of these theories, the first one is Constructivism, which is based on the knowledge is constructed and it is not transmitted. The communicator must understand the following. They must understand the receiver's beliefs, their preferences, their background. Okay, so we have to understand our receivers, our publics, our audience very well in order to understand them and to understand their wants or their needs. The second thing that the communicator must understand how receivers think about issues, then work to convince them to adopt a new point of view. So after you understand them and how they think, whether they have a good or bad image about you or your organization, then we start to convince them or to change their opinion. The last thing is it's concerned with the cognitive process that precedes the actual communication within a given situation rather than with the communication itself. In a communication, we deal with something called a cognitive process. It means before you start to communicate or to make the actual communication, you have to understand your audience opinion about the organization or the knowledge that they have about your organization. So again, the communicator must understand the cognitive process or concerned with the cognitive process before or precedes the actual communication. Another theory related to the contemporary theories of communication, coordinated management of meaning, is a theory of communications which is based on social interactions. So you cannot deliver your message in an effective way without having a real interaction with your audience or with your public. So you can't build a good image without direct interaction or an interaction with your audience. This theory posits that when we communicate, we construct out social realities of what is going on and what kind of action is appropriate. Each of us has or have his own stories of life experience which we share with others in the conversations. So if you start a new conversation or construct a conversation with others, we can know what type of moral belief you have, and according to that we can form an appropriate or suitable message that can match their needs or their wants. To continue talking about the coordinated management of meaning, when we interact, say the creator of this theory, we attempt to coordinate our own beliefs, morals, and the ideas of what is good or what is bad with those of others, so that there is a mutual outcome might occur. We build something called mutual understanding between our organization and the audience. Okay, so I can understand what type of a problem you're suffering from, what is your need, what is your wants, then we can form the appropriate solution for you. Grong-Hunt public relations models, formulated by a professor which is called James Grong and Todd Hunt. They generate 4 models that define public relations communication, which are, so those people or those professors, Grong and Hunt, define public relation communication in 4 ways or 4 models. The first one, press agentry publicity. The second one, public information, two-way asymmetric, and two-way symmetric. And we will talk about each of them in more details in the next slides. The first one is the press agentry publicity. Once we talk about the press agentry or publicity, هنا بنحكي عن الدعاية والإعلام. So once we talk about press or advertising, it is a one-way communication. So we send the information only to the audience, and we don't wait to deliver any feedback from them. So it is essentially one-way communication that beams or that send a message from the sender or the source to the receiver with the express intention or the main objective winning a favorable media attention. The next one is the public information. It is also one-way communication, designed not necessarily to persuade but rather to inform. So according to the second model, here we transit the information for the general public, and it is also considered a one-way communication. It is used in order to inform other, not to persuade, and this and the press agentry, it means public information and the press agentry or publicity, have been linked to the common notion of public relation propaganda. It means طبعا propaganda بتعني انه معلومات بتعطي معلومات مضللة. Why؟ لانه احنا هنا بنحكي عن one way of communication, whether for press agentry or for public information. انا بعطي معلومات وما بنتظر في المقابل اي تغذية راجعة. The third one, two-way asymmetric. Asymmetric غير متماثل. This is a two-way communication approach that allows an organization to put out its information and to receive a feedback from its publics or from audience about that information. But under this model, the organization wouldn't necessarily change decisions as a result of this feedback. It means that in this way model, we have a two-way communication. We send information and we receive a feedback from our publics, but we wouldn't change a decision or the opinion as a result from the feedback which is received from our publics or from our audience. The fourth model, which is the two-way symmetric تماثل. This is a preferred way of communicating advocates free and equal information flow between the organization and its public. So according to that, we build something called a mutual understanding between the organization and the publics. We ensure that we send a message for our public or for our audience and it is understood as we need, and also we receive a feedback from our audience which ensure that they understand our message as we need, and also we understood their needs or their wants. This approach is more balanced, symmetrical, with the public relation communicator serving as a mediator between the organization and publics. So again, as we've said before, that public relation practitioners or communicators play as a link or a mediator between the organization and the publics. That's all for this lecture. Thank you for listening and good luck.